And remember, she grabs the corner of his cloak or whatever, and he's like, who touched me? And she doesn't even, I mean, she's like, doesn't even want the attention, don't want anybody to know. It's just like, I've been dealing with this problem for 12 years. I just want help so bad. She like has the faith to go right in there in the crowd and weave her way through everybody and touch Jesus, and what happens? She gets healed. All right, so there's somebody else that needed help, and then there's 2 blind men, and guess what Jesus says with them? He heals the 2 blind men, and then there's another mute, demon-possessed man. You're like, holy cow. This is like a famous sermon that a lot of preachers will do. It's called A Day in the Life of Christ. Like, man, you think you're busy. The Chosen shows a few times where Jesus comes home to the camp, wore out. All right. The end of the chapter. This is not even our text, okay? The end of the chapter. After all that stuff, Jesus preached a sermon. He encounters all these people that needs help. And these are the last 4 verses of that chapter. Jesus was going through all the cities and villages, teaching in their synagogues and proclaiming the gospel of the kingdom and healing every kind of disease and every kind of sickness. Seeing the people, he felt compassion for them because they were distressed and dispirited like a sheep without a shepherd. Then he said to his disciples, the harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. Therefore, beseech the Lord of the harvest to send out workers into his harvest. All right, we were over at Josh and Ashley's Friday night. Was that with Levi's birthday? And while we were there, what is that, your brother-in-law, John? Yeah.
Corey.
Well, no, who's Kelly's husband? That's John, right? Y'all must really not like him. Every one of the Johnsons like, no, Corey. Who's John? We don't have a... Sorry. All right, okay, what's John? All right. So John and Josh sitting on the couch and for some reason talking about hay and stuff, and like I was bringing up alfalfa. That's what it's called, right? It's the real high dollar stuff. Like, and John makes this comment, if I remember this right, that he's like, the only trouble with alfalfa, if you have hay, is that when it's, time to cut and stuff, what's going to happen to the hay? Putting it on the back burner. Because when this stuff's time to go, it's time to go. Like, we got to cut this stuff right now. I don't know if it means there's a short window or it's just more expensive, it's going to make you more money. Has anybody in here ever planted anything in their life? Just planted anything? Okay, good. Now, have y'all ever noticed this, that for the most part, let's not say it's like some rare thing in your, raised garden beds, but just you plant something out in the field, for the most part, you plant it, and then how much work do you have to do until it's time to harvest? For the most part. Nothing. All right, for the most part, not technically, but for the most part, you plant it, and then what? It's like sunshine and rain's going to do its business. And yeah, no, I'm free this weekend, I ain't busy, whatever. But you hear farmers say, like, it's time to cut the hay. And what do they mean by that? We're not doing nothing else. It's our anniversary. Look, sorry, but there's only such a time period that it's like dry, and then we can cut this stuff and whatever you got to do, rake it and bale it and everything else. Do you understand what I'm saying? This is what Jesus is saying. This is his analogy. The harvest is plentiful. What is a harvest? It's time to get out there and cut the produce. It's ready. It hasn't been ready. You've had plenty of time to sit around and do nothing, but what? Right now, it's go time. Y'all go get your work boots on. We're going right now. First thing in the morning. Sorry, Joe can't go fishing in the morning. It's time to cut the hay. It's harvest time. And Jesus says, the harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. Therefore, beseech the Lord of the harvest to send out workers into this harvest. What is he saying? The time is now. The time is right now. And pray that God sends people out to take advantage of when? Not yesterday and not tomorrow, right now. Okay, so here we go. Here's our text. In the middle of all this busy day, in the middle of all this stuff where Jesus is eating with sinners and tax collectors and they're comfortable eating with him, in the middle of healing people and forgiving people, so that I have the power to forgive sins, paralytic, get up and walk. Everybody's like, holy cow, he can forgive sins. Jesus came to seek and save who? The lost, right? And to take away our infirmities and our diseases. In the middle of all of that, in that busy day, this is what happens. The disciples of John the Baptist, the disciples of John come to Jesus asking, why do we and the Pharisees fast, but your disciples do not fast? If you look at Luke's account, it gives you a couple more details that make the stakes even higher. Luke's account says in Luke 5, do the disciples of John fast often? Ooh, man, they must be good dudes. Did y'all hear that? They fast often, and they offer prayers, and so do the disciples of the Pharisees, but your disciples eat and drink. Has the stage been set? Y'all understand? People are coming up to Jesus' disciples, being like, John's disciples, they pray a lot, they fast a lot, but your disciples seem to be having a good time, and they're not fasting right now. Why aren't you doing what we are doing? Do y'all understand? And this was Jesus' answer. He gives 3 illustrations to make this point. So 3 illustrations. The attendants of the bridegroom cannot mourn as long as the bridegroom is with them, can they? Rhetorical question, answer is no. But the days will come when the bridegroom is taken away from them, and then they will fast. All right? Anybody ever been married or been to a wedding? Okay. Is there more joy at a wedding or a funeral? Typically. A wedding, right? Is there mourning at a wedding or mourning at a funeral? You're probably mourning at a funeral, right? Because when you're having a wedding, it's like, man, I'm so excited for my buddy, my childhood best friend. He's marrying this great girl, good, godly woman. Oh, I'm so excited. They're going on their honeymoon to, Hawaii. Well, probably not. That's too nice. Gatlinburg or, the Wigwam Village or something. Like, man, I'm so excited for you guys. This is so great. I'm so excited for y'all. This is fantastic. And maybe once they leave, and maybe once they go on their honeymoon, then it kind of sets in. Maybe your mom or dad, and it kind of sets in. You're like, I'm going to miss my baby. He's all grown up, But during the wedding, I don't even have to know this. But when Laylee gets married one day when she's 40 or 50, like, you know what I'm not going to do at the wedding? Be a party pooper. Because why? It's her special day, right? So Jesus says, if there's a wedding and you're going to mourn, save that for when? Save that for later. Then he says, let me give you another example of when it's appropriate and when it's not appropriate. If somebody, verse 16, but no one puts a patch of unshrunk cloth on a garment, for the patch pulls away from the garment and a worse tear results. If you got an old shirt, and I'm not the expert on this, no Bella is, okay, but if you got an old shirt and you're wanting to repair it, it gets a hole in it, you don't go get a piece of new cloth because it's not wore out and broke in. You know what I'm saying? If you can find something that matches, that's also wore out and broke in already, it's going to hold up better. There's a appropriate fix and a non-appropriate fix, or inappropriate fix, right? And then he gives one more example, which would make more sense if we lived back then. But nor do people put new wine into old wineskins, otherwise the wineskins burst, and the wine pours out and the wineskin's ruined. But they put new wine into fresh wineskins, both are preserved. I'm assuming it has to do some with new wine, it's going to have a little bit of gas and expansion, it's going to move some stuff. Well, if you use a good old worn out one, an old bag or skin, it's going to pop it. And then you're going to waste your skin and your wine. So if you're going to use old wine, old wineskin. If you're going to use new wine, new wineskin, so that it can expand and contract, and it's, what's the word? Appropriate. So how about that, guys? Let's bring this full circle, okay? Full circle to the beginning of the lesson. Is there anything bad about fasting and praying? No, that'd be a pretty good day for me. If I got to the end of my day and I'd been fasting and praying, I'd be like, man, Will, you're a pretty good dude today, right? That's good. Y'all agree? But when they said to Jesus, how come your disciples aren't fasting and praying? What did Jesus say? Now is not the time. It's not appropriate. Let me give you a 2025 example. Everybody around here knows where Beals is, or Bell's, or whatever in the world it's called. And Subway, what?
Bells.
Bells. Look, I don't want to start a fight, okay? I was just, all right, Subway. Nobody pronounces Subway or something. A Subway. Y'all know where Subway is, right? Can y'all just imagine real quick that if before church started, that one of you all got a phone call. I know this is crazy, but just roll with me for a second. Imagine y'all got a phone call, and they're like, guys, you're not going to believe it. I know it's Sunday morning, but Jesus the Christ is at Subway right now. He's actually healing people, and I think he's given a message. Do you all know that there are some people that would literally say, we can't miss church? Some people would literally be like, we're supposed to be at church on a Sunday morning. The doors are open. The lights are on. We've got a potluck afterwards. What will we do? Do y'all know that this is called the Sugar Grove Church of... Who owned this thing? Who started this thing? Why do we get together? For who? If Christ is in town, you know what we're doing, guys? We are getting in 17 car wrecks in our parking lot because we are all racing to go meet Jesus in the flesh. Normally going to church is a good thing. But if Jesus is here, you know what we're doing? There's a better thing. And Jesus literally says, while the bridegroom is here, and the bride is the church, and the bridegroom is Jesus, don't fast. When I'm gone, then you can fast. But if I'm here, y'all need to be paying attention to me. Does that make sense? So this is a weird and awkward and uncomfortable question. But my question for you guys is this, and we're going to close out the lesson, okay? Am I doing something good, but could be doing something better? There's nothing wrong with fasting and praying. That's a good thing. That's a good thing that John's disciples were doing. It's a good thing the Pharisees were doing. But it's right now the time for harvest and time for me to work. Like you can do whatever you want to while stuff's growing. But Jesus said the harvest is plentiful. Like, I need people right now to go harvest stuff. I don't need you to do anything else. I love it that you want to go to church. I love it you want to do whatever. But right now, Jesus is in town. Cancel the appointments. Cancel the potluck. Cancel Will's great message. We'll try it next week. Because there's something more appropriate that is here. So, I'm going to read off some examples. Maybe this will help you, maybe it won't. And Josh, we're going to lead a song. Okay? Maybe you need to take advantage of your kids being at home. Maybe you need to take advantage of being empty nesters. Maybe you need to go ahead and retire. Maybe you need to rethink your career. Maybe you need to reevaluate your private ministries and remove something. Can you believe a preacher just said that? Maybe there's something that you're doing that you really don't, it's a good thing. Maybe you don't need to be doing it. Maybe you need to start doing a ministry you never thought you could. Maybe you need to put something on hold until a later date. Maybe you need to start a habit right now before it's too late. That rhymed. Didn't even mean to. So remember this. There were only 2 to 3 years in all of human history that the Messiah walked among the world with human needs. Everywhere you could look, everywhere Jesus went, there were people that needed help. For 2 or 3 years, this is the only time that you could walk up to Jesus, touch his cloak, and be healed. And some of the most religious people thought that they should have been somewhere else, ignoring the harvest. Some of the most religious people still thought, we should not be here right now. We should not be helping these people. We should be fasting and praying. I don't know what it is in your life. Maybe nobody in this room needs to change anything, but it might be the case that you're doing something bad you need to replace, and you might even be doing something good. It's like, look, there's nothing wrong with that. But maybe we could all leave here and maybe say a prayer like, God, show me the best, most effective, most useful, most efficient thing that I could be doing with my time. Different from what I'm doing. Show me that. Maybe we could leave here and call one of your buddies that goes to church here this week. and be like, hey man, is there something you see in my life that like I need to quit doing? Or is there something I'm doing in my life that's just not that effective and like I need to stop that and replace it? I hope we're willing to do that this week. Are we willing to say like, am I doing good stuff? Yeah, but there might be something that's even better. 2 to 3 years Jesus was here, and some of the most religious people still thought, we don't really need to be here with Jesus right now. We need to be somewhere else. We don't really need to be helping the centurion slave, the man's daughter, the synagogue official's daughter, the blind man, the demon possessed, the mute, the woman with the hemorrhage for 12 years. They're like, no, we don't need to be here. We've got other stuff to do. But Jesus said, this is exactly what we need to be doing. Heal these people, forgive these people, then go back home and pray, and then go back home and fast when I've ascended back to heaven. Because there's something that you can be doing that is the best thing that you could be doing. If you have a need, we would love to help you today. Why don't you come forward as together we stand and sing.